I'm 88 years old, and most mornings now, when I wake up, the first thing I feel isn't pain. It's the weight of everything I kept putting off. I planned for later. I truly did. I just didn't know that later would stop showing up. I'm not telling this because I think my story is special. It isn't. That's part of what hurts. I'm telling it because there's not much time left for me. And this truth has been sitting in my chest for years, growing heavier the quieter my life has become. These days, my world is small. A chair by the window, a kettle I forget I already turned on, photographs that feel like they belong to someone else. Time moves strangely when you're this old. The days drag, but the years feel like they collapsed into each other without asking permission. I didn't expect old age to feel like this. I thought I'd be busy remembering the good things. I didn't expect to spend so much time remembering what never happened. When I was younger, I was careful, responsible. I paid my bills early. I showed up to work even when I didn't feel well. I believed deeply in doing what needed to be done first so I could enjoy myself later. That idea guided most of my life. In my 20s, I told myself I was laying the groundwork. Everyone around me said the same thing. Work hard now. Be smart now. Sacrifice now. The reward would come later. It sounded reasonable. It sounded mature. I got married young, not because of some sweeping romance, but because it made sense. We cared about each other. We wanted stability. Love, I thought, would grow into the space we were building. I worked long hours, not because anyone forced me to, but because I wanted to be dependable. I wanted to be someone my family could rely on. I wanted to be proud of myself. There were evenings when my wife would ask if I could sit with her for a bit. Just sit. Talk about nothing in particular. I'd say, after this week, or once this project is done, or things will slow down soon. They usually didn't. When my children were young, they learned quickly that I was busy. Not unkind, not absent, just busy. I went to school events when I could. I missed more than I realized. I always thought there would be another one, another play, another game, another chance to really listen instead of half listening while my mind stayed somewhere else. At the time, it didn't feel like neglect. It felt like responsibility. I told myself I was doing all this for them. And in a way I was, but I was also doing it because it felt safer than being fully present. Presence asks something of you. Work just asks for your time. I didn't notice the distance growing. Distance doesn't announce itself. It just quietly becomes the normal amount of space between two people. My wife and I stopped talking about our days. Not intentionally. It just seemed unnecessary after a while. We shared schedules, not thoughts. Plans, not feelings. Sometimes she'd say, "Do you remember when we used to?" And I would nod, distracted, thinking she was being nostalgic for no reason. I didn't understand then that she was already grieving. The years passed quickly once I hit my 40s. That's when time started speeding up. You don't feel it while it's happening. You only notice it when you look back and realize entire seasons disappeared without leaving much behind. I told myself we'd travel later. We'd slow down later. We'd reconnect later. Later became my favorite word. It made everything feel manageable. My children grew up. They became adults with lives of their own. I was proud of them. I still am. But pride is a quiet companion when you're alone. They called less often than I expected. At first, I felt a little hurt. Then I remembered how often I told them, "Not now. Life has a way of returning what you give it. The turning point didn't arrive with drama. It came quietly, like most important things do. My wife got sick. Not suddenly, gradually. The kind of illness that gives you time to adjust, which somehow makes it worse. I sat beside her in hospital rooms, holding her hand, finally still. I remember thinking how strange it was that I had all the time in the world now, and nowhere useful to put it. She passed away on a Tuesday morning. The room was calm, too calm. I kept waiting for something to happen, for someone to tell me there had been a mistake. Afterward, people told me I was strong. I didn't feel strong. I felt empty in a very specific way. Like a room that had been slowly emptied over years, so you only notice what's missing once there's nothing left. That was when clarity arrived. Not like a revelation, like a quiet understanding that settled in my bones. There would be no later. The trips we talked about would never happen. The long conversations we postponed were gone. The version of us that might have existed if I had chosen differently was gone too. You don't just lose people. You lose the future you assumed would come with them. After she died, I tried to reconnect with life. I really did. I reached out more. I slowed down. But timing is a cruel thing. My children were kind, but busy. They had their own rhythms now. I didn't fit into them easily. And that was my doing, even if no one said it out loud. Friends had drifted away long ago. Careers end without ceremony. One day, you stop being needed, and no one tells you how to prepare for that. What can't be fixed now is simple to list and impossible to accept. I can't go back and sit on the couch with my wife on a quiet evening. I can't hear my children's small voices asking for my attention. I can't choose presence over productivity when the moment has already passed. Time doesn't negotiate. It doesn't care that you meant well. I don't hate my life. I want to be clear about that. There were good years. There was laughter. There was love, even if I didn't always handle it gently. But there's a difference between a full life and a busy one. I confused the two for a very long time. Now, when I sit alone at night, I don't think about money. I don't think about accomplishments. I think about conversations I rushed, moments I postponed, silences where I could have spoken. If you're listening to this, I'm not here to tell you what to do. I don't believe in telling other people how to live. I just want you to know what I wish I had understood sooner. Later is fragile. It depends on things you don't control. Health, time, people staying. If someone matters to you, the time is now. Not perfectly, not impressively, just now. You don't need grand gestures. You need attention. You need to show up while it still counts. I thought being responsible meant delaying joy. I didn't realize joy was part of the responsibility. There's a particular loneliness that comes from knowing you did your best in the wrong direction. It's quiet. It doesn't scream. It just sits with you. I have some time left. Not much. Enough to tell the truth, at least. If this meant something to you, I'm glad. That's more than I expected. I don't need to be remembered widely. I just wish I had been more present while it still mattered. That's all I have to say.